Hey guys, in today's video you will learn the shocking story of Callista Montgomery, a teacher who died for 5 minutes while running and was taken to a heavenly garden. There, she found people who had already died, and what they were doing. On the other side will knock your socks off. They revealed truths about the soul, the afterlife, and the eternal impact of our choices. So leave a like, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and comment from which city you are watching. Let's go together on this journey that will transform your view of life and death. That morning in June 2017, I woke up with the determination to transform the ordinary into something memorable. As I laced up my sneakers and got ready for my morning run, I felt the vibrant energy of the new day, as if the sun already wanted to embrace me with its golden light. When I left the house, the fresh air enveloped me, and the soft murmur of the sleeping city still resonated through the streets. During the run, my rhythmic steps seemed to whisper promises of renewal, and amid the picturesque setting of the small town where I taught science, everything lined up in perfect harmony. At one point, while crossing a wooded park, I began to feel intense pressure in my chest, as sudden as it was unexpected. "Callista, take a deep breath," I murmured to myself, trying to shake off the strange feeling that was infiltrating my body. However, the pain intensified abruptly, as if every beat of my heart cried out for help. The world around me began to fade, and in the blink of an eye I realized that the race had become a race against time itself, an escape from the inevitable. The distant sound of hurried footsteps and worried voices mixed with my disoriented internal murmur as reality slowly faded away. In a brief moment of lucidity, I observed the clouds moving across the sky and the golden reflection of the sun on the asphalt, as if nature wanted to calm me down before something grand and inexplicable happened. I felt, even if for a moment, that life challenged me to look at the invisible and embrace the unknown. It was in this whirlwind of sensations, between the accelerated throb and the silence that precedes a storm, that I found myself on the edge of an abyss where time seemed suspended and each breath became a silent prayer. The real world was becoming a distant scene, and my words, although lost in the wind, carried an echo of despair and hope. The instant I lost consciousness, reality fell apart and I found myself floating above my own body. What seemed to be a feeling of lightness and freedom turned at the same time into a silent restlessness. As I looked down, I found myself motionless, lying on the sidewalk, as distant voices and a growing commotion began to fill the space. Even far away, I felt each accelerated beat of my heart, echoing as a reminder that I was still connected to life, even if in a way I never imagined. "Callista, you're with me," I heard a soft voice, coming from somewhere in the hustle and bustle of rescuers. It was as if time had slowed down so I could absorb every detail of the scene. Jonathan Pierce, the paramedic, approached with purposeful steps and eyes full of concern and hope. He crouched down beside my body, and even without words, his gestures communicated a calm, determined urgency. "Stay with me. We need you," he seemed to say with each action, as he applied first aid with steady, compassionate hands. Within this whirlwind of emotions, I was able to perceive the duality of existence. While my body fought for life on the ground, my consciousness wandered in a space where time and space blended together. The distance between the physical and spiritual world seemed to shorten, and Jonathan's every movement was a thread that pulled me back to reality. Despite the chaos around, a feeling of serenity invaded my being, as if I were being led to an inevitable encounter with something greater. On this threshold between life and death, every sound, every touch, had an intensity that transcends any explanation. My words were lost in an inner murmur where despair and hope coexisted in perfect harmony. I felt that, at that moment, I was watching an intimate and transformative show, where the end and the beginning met in a silent dance. The feeling of being attracted by an intense light was almost irresistible, as if a greater force was calling me to an unknown destination. Without even realizing it, I began to move towards that clarity that seemed to pulse in harmony with the rhythm of my heart. As I progressed, the environment around me transformed. The familiar world gave way to a corridor of colors that blended into a silent, mesmerizing ballet. Colors danced around me, each tone telling a story, while ethereal music was present, touching the deepest strings of my soul. With each step, the intensity of the light increased, and I found myself surrounded by an aura of peace that defied the logic of my earthly body. There is no fear here, only the path. The echo of this heavenly melody seemed to whisper, and my doubts melted away, replaced by a sense of surrender and acceptance. The tunnel was like a bridge between two worlds, where the past and the future met in a silent symphony. I wondered as I walked if this was the portal to something I had always searched for without knowing it. Even in the midst of such beauty and harmony, the presence of a greater truth was noticeable. In moments, the color vision intensified, and the sound, now clearer, seemed to reveal ancient secrets while the light guided me with inexplicable precision. My own words swirled in the wind, and in a near whisper I questioned, am I really leaving behind what I know to embrace something completely new? At that moment, the feeling of isolation from the physical world disappeared, giving way to a feeling of belonging to something much bigger than myself. Each color, each musical note, carried with it a message of love and transformation, and even without completely understanding it, my heart pulsed in tune with this magical journey. It was as if the entire universe was conspiring to show me that sometimes you have to go through the unknown to find your own essence. Upon exiting the tunnel, I was surprised by a change that was as abrupt as it was wonderful. Before me, a heavenly garden unfolded, filled with a beauty that seemed to belong to a dream. The flowers bloomed in colors never seen before, mixing tones that sparkled under a soft, welcoming light. Each petal seemed to carry the essence of love, and the delicate scent filled the air with indescribable peace, as if each fragrance told a secret of hope. I walked slowly, absorbing every detail of that mystical scenario, when a maternal figure appeared in front of me. His features were familiar, and in some way, they transported me to the most tender corners of my childhood. "Callista, my dear," she murmured in a voice that seemed made of honey and assurance, and in that instant, I recognized that it was Evelyn Hart. The reunion was silent and profound, as if time had bent to bring me back to this bond of unconditional love and ancestral wisdom. Evelyn approached with a serene smile, her eyes shining with the compassion of someone who knows all the ways of the heart. "You're exactly where you need to be," she said, as she reached out to touch me lightly, a gesture that dispelled all shadows of doubt and fear. His touch was like a promise that no matter what challenges I faced, I would never be alone on this journey. I felt a wave of tranquility come over me, and as we walked together among the enchanted flower beds, her words mixed with the whisper of the wind. "Every step you took, every choice brought you here. This garden is a reflection of the love and hope that resides in your heart." His words echoed within me, igniting a flame of renewed faith and purpose. In this space where time seemed to blur, everything merged in perfect harmony, and every detail of the garden made me believe that redemption and peace were not only possible, but inevitable. Evelyn led me through a portal of light that opened into a surprisingly divided space, where each zone seemed to hold the secrets of human choices. When crossing the barrier, I felt as if I was leaving the limitations of time and space behind, entering a place where the essence of being manifested itself in colors and sounds. To my left, the environment radiated an almost palpable peace, with souls resting in a serenity that overflowed with love and acceptance, as if every look and smile told a story of silent redemption. In the center, a corridor unfolded with murmurs of learning, where luminous figures exchanged words of wisdom and repentance, each dialogue carrying the weight of lived experience and the lightness of renewed hope. To the right, a space that mixed light and shadows was revealed, demonstrating that even the deepest mistakes could be transformed through forgiveness and compassion. As we walked, Evelyn whispered in a calm voice, "Callista, this place is a reflection of your journey. Here, each zone represents a path, the peace of those who lived with kindness, the learning of those who faced their challenges, and redemption for those who found the courage to change. His words mixed with the soft sound of laughter and conversation, creating a symphony of experiences that filled every corner of that mystical space. As I approached a bright clearing, I could see a small group of souls engaged in a silent conversation, where each gesture and expression revealed the story of struggles and victories. An elderly soul with eyes full of compassion murmured something that seemed to echo throughout the room. Here, every pain finds its way to the light. I felt a shiver run down my spine, not from fear, but from a deep understanding that learning and redemption are an intrinsic part of existence. The environment revealed itself as a mirror where the past and the future met, a dance of emotions and revelations. Amidst that unique atmosphere, I realized that every choice, every act of kindness, had the power to transform not just me, but every soul around me. At the moment when the atmosphere seemed to reach its peak, a singular presence burst out of nowhere, emanating a light that revealed the deepest corners of my soul. It was as if the universe itself was conspiring to reveal its most guarded secret to me. In the midst of that transitional space, as I absorbed every nuance of the environment that Evelyn had shown me, a figure stood out, imposing and serene, as if it were the echo of the divine essence itself. Gabriel Lawson, with his aura of compassion and authority, approached silently. His eyes, deep and sparkling, reflected all the colors of that space, and his voice, when he finally made himself heard, was a whisper that held the truth and tenderness of an eternal embrace. "Callista," he said with a cadence that mixed sweetness and firmness. "Every act of kindness, every gesture of forgiveness has an impact that transcends time." His words resonated with me, and I felt as if a wave of understanding invaded my being, dissolving the barriers that held my doubts and fears. In an instant that seemed to last an eternity, he extended his hand, inviting me to look beyond the visible, to understand that life, with its uncertainties and challenges, was a precious gift, and that each choice shaped the destiny of our soul. His face conveyed the certainty that love and compassion were the foundations of existence, and that even in moments of greatest despair, there was always a light guiding the path back to redemption. The intensity of the meeting was such that I could feel each word penetrating the fibers of my being, awakening long-dormant memories and igniting an almost palpable hope. In the midst of that transcendent scenario, Gabriel's words echoed as a reminder that forgiveness and kindness were forces capable of transforming not only my journey, but that of everyone who dared to live with faith. That divine presence, with its message of love and renewal, sealed a silent pact within me, where each beat of my heart began to carry the weight and lightness of a destiny illuminated by compassion and universal understanding. Today, as I return to the classroom, I feel like I carry something that goes far beyond books and blackboards. Every day, walking through the school corridors, I encounter faces that reflect not only the curiosity to learn, but also the complexity of lives marked by challenges and hopes. I feel like my experience has transcended the mere physical event and turned into a legacy, a mission to share the knowledge that every act of kindness has an impact that extends through time. When I enter my classroom, I hear the murmurs of the students, and when I see them, I remember the words of Gabriel Lawson, who taught me to see each gesture, no matter how small it may seem, as a seed of light in the world. Life is a precious gift, Callista. I often say as I explain the mysteries of science, but now, every explanation carries a message of love and redemption. I feel that by inspiring these young people, I am in some way planting hope for a future where compassion and empathy are the foundations of society. In conversations with colleagues and friends, like Madison Cole and Jonathan Pierce, memories of the day I almost left this world resonate. They ask me about the experience, and I respond with the humility of someone who understands that life is made of choices and second chances. Every breath is a miracle, I often say, emphasizing that even in the darkest moments there is always an opportunity to start over. These words, which were once just a distant echo, have now become the foundation of my new mission. In the midst of these daily encounters, I realize that my legacy is not just the account of a near-fatal experience, but the inspiration it ignited in each person who crosses my path. Through my stories, I seek to show that, regardless of the challenges faced, the light of hope and love can always guide us to a new beginning. This is the essence of what I carry with me, the conviction that our journey is woven by acts of kindness that echo into eternity. The shrill sound of the defibrillator filled the room, and in an instant, reality seemed to fragment into 1,000 simultaneous moments. I was suspended between two worlds where time became fluid, and memories mixed with the light that flooded the space. All around me, voices alternated between cries of relief and gasps of disbelief as rescuers struggled to bring my body back to life. Amidst the chaos, the feeling that something bigger was surrounding me was undeniable. "Callista, we're here for you," I heard Jonathan Pierce repeat firmly, as he squeezed my hand with the conviction that life still had much to offer. His words resonated like a powerful reminder that I wasn't lost, that every second was a new chance to start over. At the same time, the vision of my body being reconnected to life unfolded like a subtle dance between light and shadow, where death and rebirth intertwined in perfect harmony. I then felt as if every cell of my being awakened to a new reality. The pain and fears were replaced by an almost indescribable calm, and deep inside me, a silent voice told me that this was not the end, but the beginning of a new journey. The safe touch of Madison Cole, my friend, and the hopeful gaze of each person present reinforced the idea that my experience transcended the physical and extended into a realm where the impossible became possible. As the doctor celebrated my return with smiles and tears of relief, I realized that the reconstruction of my reality was not just happening in the hospital, but also in my spirit. I was being reconstituted, not just as a body, but as a soul destined to carry a transformative message. Every beat of my heart now vibrated with the intensity of a miracle that allowed me to see life with new eyes. After leaving the hospital environment, I felt that it was not just my body that had been rebuilt, but my entire essence. Each day, upon waking up, the weight of that experience transformed into a call for inner transformation. In long conversations with Madison Cole, who always encouraged me to see the lessons behind the inexplicable, I heard her words, "Callista, this experience has gifted you with unique insight. Use this light to illuminate the paths of those who still walk in darkness." These words resonated in my mind, leading me to reflect on the new mission unfolding before me. The following mornings, as I walked through the silent streets of the city, I noticed the small miracles hidden in every smile, every gesture of solidarity. In one of these moments, I met Jonathan Pierce, who greeted me with a serene look and a slight nod of his head. He said in a voice full of compassion, "You've seen life with different eyes now, haven't you? Every breath carries a purpose. Every heartbeat is a reminder that the journey continues." These words pushed me to accept the responsibility of transmitting this message of hope and transformation. I decided then that I could not keep silent the story that had transcended the limits of the physical and the spiritual. I started writing, sharing with students, colleagues, and friends the lessons I learned on that fateful day. In my science classes, between formulas and theories, I inserted stories that emphasized the importance of each choice and the intrinsic connection between all beings. "Life is a gift," I said, "and every small act of kindness has the power to rescue souls, including our own." This new approach aroused curiosity and inspired profound debates about the meaning of existence. Over time, I realized that my transformation was not an end, but the beginning of an ongoing journey of self-discovery and service. The restructuring of my reality was consolidated with each story shared and each look of gratitude I received. I saw myself as a messenger of light, tasked with reminding everyone that even after moments of darkness, rebirth is possible. The new mission was not just a choice, but a destiny drawn by the very essence of the universe, an invitation for each of us to embrace the opportunity to start over with love and faith. As the days passed, the echo of that experience transcended the hospital environment and invaded every corner of my existence. Today, every look exchanged with a student, every conversation with a colleague, carries the seed of that almost divine transformation. Amid the hectic routine of school, words that once seemed like mere explanations of scientific theories were now imbued with a deeper meaning. "Life is a gift, Callista," said one of the students, his eyes shining with curiosity. And at that moment I felt the weight and lightness of my mission reflected in each small hope awakened. In conversations, with friends and family, the story of my near-fatal experience had become a legacy. Madison Cole, always by my side, reminded me, "You didn't survive by chance, Callista. You carry with you a message that needs to be echoed by everyone." Jonathan Pierce, with his calm and serene voice, reinforced the idea that my recovery was an invitation to reevaluate every gesture of kindness and forgiveness. At each meeting, my words were mixed with the smiles and tears of those who in some way found comfort and motivation in my story. In a special meeting, during a community meeting at the school, I shared with parents and students the teachings that emerged from that spiritual journey. "Every act of love, no matter how small, can transform destinies," I declared, as the faces around me reflected both skepticism and renewed faith. The conversations that followed were full of stories, of overcoming, of moments when hope triumphed over adversity, and each story seemed to echo the truth that Gabriel Lawson had so intensely conveyed. As I walked the streets of my city, I felt like the legacy of my experience extended beyond me. The lessons of that fateful day became bridges that united generations, inspiring those who felt lost to seek the light even in the darkest moments. At each step, the certainty that our journey is woven of acts of kindness and meaningful choices was reaffirmed. And so, my legacy was not just the account of an almost mystical experience, but living proof that, even in the face of the abyss, rebirth and hope can flourish. If you liked this beautiful spiritual testimony, leave a like, comment on your impressions, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to activate the notification bell to watch each new video and help us spread this message to a greater number of people. Until next time.